Yes.
Where in Africa
Yes.
has a revolution been organized successfully? Because we keep citing examples where, like the Arab Spring, things collapsed. We keep saying if you don't congregate and organize politically, things will collapse.
Yes.
The Gen Z themselves,
Yes.
the Gen Z revolution said they want to unseat President Ruto constitutionally on the ballot. And that's why they're registering. They're not plotting a coup.
Nope. They're registering.
They're registering so they can do it constitutionally. They want order, good governance, rule of law. The burden of responsibility is you bear, both of you. The one you want to unseat and the one whom you want to bring and the one who is unseating. So I would ask you, give us an example in Africa where the youth have organized to unseat an oppressive regime.
Again, it has happened before in this country when in 2002 people went to the ballot and voted, and that vote counted. Again, in 2007, I didn't have the good fortune of voting because I was too young to vote. But again, that the young people voted, except that people who are counting the vote decided to engage in other things. So the vote has counted. In 2017, again, that...
Except when people want to engage in other things.
Listen, no, in 2017...
The oxymoronic version of what you've just said. No, I'm sorry. Kiddy,
yes.
You've just said that the vote counted, except when people wanted to do other things. You've just said that.
I've said in 2007,
as an example,
the vote counted, except that the people who are counting the votes decided to engage in other things.
So that cannot be used as an example.
Yes.
That's the point.
No,
that it cannot be used as an example. It does not suffice. Because here we are and we're saying, what are the reasons why people are coming out today? And they're saying, you know what, this cannot be. Historical experience is one of the reasons why you will forever say, this thing that Advice and Kiddy are telling us today, you must go that way, is because it has been tried by your own example before, and it has failed. Whereby they're saying, okay, show us your leader, so that what, you can co-opt him or her? Show us who the person is going to be so that they can be bought out. Do you see the very real fears that people have? So by when they say, I'm going to stand outside this IEBC office today to ensure that my registration is counted, we cannot take away from the historical experience of people, whether they were told or whether they experienced it. So now here they are saying, you know what, everybody is forcing us into this block. And who's to say that a democracy that has been handed down to Kenya is the one that must be followed? Where you can still abide within the constitution. People are saying, don't make me choose somebody today. But listen to what I'm saying, whereby we say the way in which we have lived cannot be the way we continue to live going into the future. Does that not suffice as inertia that's going to push people towards a decision, whomever it may be? Raila Odinga did not shout Kibaki Tosha for a year. He shouted it months to an election. Months, in a very short period of time. Nobody knew that he was going to do that. Everybody knew that Raila Odinga wanted to be president. When did he say Kibaki Tosha? And it hit like this fire that you talk about, Karatasi. I was not there, but I knew and I could understand exactly what happened. Nobody knew 2 years before the election in 2002 that Raila Odinga was going to say Kibaki Tosha, but he did. And in the last minute, it caught. Not a good enough example?
It is a good enough example, but again in a context. The context being is that right now we want young people to register. The Dukokadi thing is to get everyone to register, and it must not be weaponized against any one individual or any one faction.
Who is weaponizing it? Advice. Who is weaponizing Tukokadi right now? Who's weaponizing it?
Okay. Let's see.
I'm asking, who is weaponizing it?
Okay, again, I'll keep saying that the rise of the level of sentiment will not give results to the country. And also the imagination that all young people or all Gen Zs want President Ruto to go is again a fallacy that will lead us to the wrong result. And that's why every time a young person will hear the colleague young person speaking the language that they do not agree with, they'll get unnecessarily annoyed, running away from the very democratic principles that are supposed to be governing them. And we are not saying, I am not saying that people need to do the traditional things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that our law provides for a way in which governments are formed. And therefore, we must be able to abide by what the law provides. Otherwise, when we run away from that, the other guys stick to that, and then when push comes to shove, they become the only ones who are legitimate then. Okay? Because, for instance, what I'm saying, to run for office, one, you need a political party. It is not an old practice. Yeah? It is not tradition. It is not fear-mongering. It is the truth. It is our law. Okay? So when we are saying to do anything meaningful in terms of regime change or anything like that, you need a political party. It's just the truth. So once you need a political party, then you need people who will be able to be running on these political parties. And it's not just from the top, it's from the lowest level. Because no matter who you have as president, when you do not have the parliament and don't have these other organs, it is counterproductive. And this understanding of governance is what the people need to understand. So that at the end of the day, we are not just driving their thinking by use of sentiment. So that we have to understand that there is a parliament in Kenya that has about 400 members. These people are the ones who lead the budget process. They're the ones who, you've just quoted what some of them are saying about SHA.
And a fine job they've done of that.
Now, those members of parliament that we have in that parliament are brought to that house by the people.
By the vote.
By the vote. And that's what I'm saying, we must be able to organize so that at the end of the day, if the problem is at this regime level, it must change from onset, from the parliamentarians to the MCAs to all that.
Who said?
But
who said
if
it
the
must?
focus,
Who
if the
says it
focus,
must?
if the focus, I don't want to quote him and say, allow me make my point. You realize we have allowed you make your point.
No. This is a question. I'm sorry, but when you make a statement, I can actually come in and ask you. When you say it must, I'm asking, who says it must?
The Constitution.
That it must go via way of changing across the board for a new change to come in place?
The Constitution provides.
It doesn't dictate.
The Constitution provides. You can choose the words. But the truth is that the Parliament is the body in Kenya that makes law. Okay? And most of what the executive comes with will be able to be taken to that Parliament. The people who will allocate what is mostly called the cake of the Republic of Kenya will be done in that parliament. That does not change because of choice of words or sentiment. That does not change because of the emotions we have as a country. So that is the truth. And that's what I'm saying. It is good to understand governance in context. So that when people are able to go to the next election, they do not carry their emotions alone. Because most of the reason why we are where we are and do is because all our elections we have gone with our emotions. And that's why all our governments are unpopular 3 months after we vote them in.
What should we take
3 months after we vote them in, we want the next, we want them to go away.
Devoid of emotions. It could be very hard because every government rises up on an emotion called hope.
And that's why we keep not wanting it after we vote for it.
Exactly. So what should we be taking to this election? What should be our guiding radar on how we approach this